NXT's New Year's Evil took place tonight in Los Angeles, California, from the Shrine Auditorium, which is known for hosting numerous award ceremonies. So they welcome us to the show. We have Vic Joseph, Booker T, and Corey Graves on commentary tonight. And we start off by seeing Julia and Roxanne Perez entering the building. Then we see Oba Femi, Trick Williams, and Eddie Thorpe coming in. And then finally, we see a man exiting a vehicle holding his classic Brahma Bull championship and drinking a Zoa energy drink. Who could that be? The Rock. So I guess the People's title now is officially retired. He gave it to his daughter, and I don't expect to see it back anytime soon. So we have the Women's Championship starting off the show. Julia comes out first, then Roxanne Perez. And I have to say, as both women made their entrance, I thought, you know what, this is going to be a good match. These two are both going to be big stars on the main roster, and I'm looking forward to it. And we start off, Roxanne gets the heat early. She works on Julia's arms, and we go to a break. And when we come back, Roxanne hits a top rope hurricanrana. Then we have lots of actions. You have suicide dives. You had numerous slams. You had a really good modified superplex by Julia. And then they both end up on the outside after a slam on the outside by Julia. And they're both being counted out. It looks like we're going to get a double count out. All of a sudden, it's Cora Jade. She comes in, helps her friend Roxanne Perez back into the ring. And it looks like Julia might be counted out, but she just gets back in at the 9 count. And when they get back in, Roxanne hits the Pop Rocks. That's how she beat Julia on the CW debut in October. And it looks like that's it. But Julia gets out. She kicks out this time. After that, Roxanne immediately transitions into an armbar. But Cora Jade, by mistake, she has the referee distracted because she interfered earlier. And he does not see the submission. Julia eventually recovers, and then she hits her finisher, which is the Northern Lights bomb, onto Roxanne Perez. Julia pins her. 1, 2, 3. The Beautiful Madness is your new NXT Women's Champion. The third new WWE Women's Champion crowned in the last 5 days. We had Tiffany Stratton cashing in to win the WWE Women's Championship on SmackDown. Last night on Raw, we saw Rhea Ripley defeat Liv Morgan to win the World Women's Championship. And tonight, Julia pins Roxanne Perez to become the new NXT Women's Championship. So, that's 3 major title changes. And that was essentially, it seemed like that would be it for Roxanne Perez. I don't think that's the last we see in her NXT. It kind of reminds me of last year with Tiffany Stratton. They debuted her right around earlier in the year. They didn't use her at WrestleMania, but you knew she was going to be a big deal. They could do the same formula for Roxanne, where they just bring her in before WrestleMania to get her in front of that audience, and then they really begin the big push after Mania. Maybe she wins Money in the Bank. I think she's one of the favorites already to win it. And even if she doesn't, she's one of those who's going to be a contender. I think she's going to get pushed right away, and I think she should. But I wouldn't mind her seeing her stay in NXT. Maybe she has a tag team title run with Cora Jade. I think they'd be a good team. Maybe they feud against each other because Roxanne feels that Cora cost her. That could be a direction. But I kind of would like her to stay in NXT until after WrestleMania. Then she could make her big debut the night after Mania. But Julia is the woman. She is now the 4th Japanese woman to win the NXT Women's Championship. The first was Asuka, who of course had the longest title reign and the longest undefeated streak ever, which was both NXT records. Then you had Kairi Sane win it, and then you had Io Sky win the NXT Women's Champion. So Julia is the 4th one, and I'm looking forward to her reign. I think she's going to be champ for a while. And this is why they signed her. She is now the face of the NXT Women's Division. So we go backstage and we find Eddie Thorpe, who was attacked once again. And Ava, of course, doesn't believe him because the last time this happened, he made it up just to get into the NXT title match. And you might think to yourself, why do Eddie get already in the match? I think this is going to be explained later. Next, we see Stephanie Vaquer, who I think is the number 2 woman in NXT right now as Roxanne leaves, make her entrance for a Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match for the NXT North American Women's Champion. And we have her come out, and then we go to basically how it worked was, and the international, I should just mention this, international markets, NXT's on Netflix. In Canada, for instance, NXT, you get on Netflix. So this was NXT's debut on Netflix in a way. However, for the United States, it's still on the CW. And the same thing applies to Fox. It's on USA in America, and internationally, it's on Netflix, as are the pay-per-views. So when I was watching this, like, you would have these video packages, you wouldn't have commercials, and one of them you got was just wrestlers. We didn't get to see them in the ring. I think they could have just kept the cameras going on, because that's what we got on Raw, where they'd keep the camera, and like we did a regular random interview with a wrestler. It'd just be fun to kill time, even though it didn't mean anything. So we come back, and we get an interview. We get a video package for Javon Evans and Ethan Page. The next entrance for the match is Lola Vice, and we find out that during the break, Cora Jade and Kalani Jordan, who I both think are future female stars, made their jobber entrances in which they come out during the break. But you have the 4 set, and we had a match where I felt was a good match. It was a solid follow-up to Julia and Roxanne. Not as good, but I think they could have had a little bit more time if someone, didn't need to take so much time at the end. I think some of these matches could have had longer, but I felt like it went home a little bit too quickly. Anyway, so after we come back to the break, nothing really happens at first, and of course, I kind of wish we can still see the camera rolling on Netflix. But Lola Vice is in control. Then we see Stephanie Vecchio do this great moonsault to the outside onto both Lola Vice and Cora Jade. Then you had Kalani hit a dive onto the outside, taking all 3 of them out. Eventually, Cora Jade and Lola Vice are on the outside, so you have Stephanie Vecchio and Kalani Jordan in the ring. Stephanie hits her finisher, which is the SVB, for the win, and she seemingly, found out something else later, that we thought she would take on Fallon Henley for the NXT North American Women's Championship, and she could still, but that's not happening next week. You go backstage with Ava talking to Alba Far and Isla Dawn, who are doing nothing on the main roster since they lost their women's tag team titles, and she's with them backstage, so I assume they'll be on next week. And then she's interviewed by Sarah Scriber. Then Obafemi interrupts about the injury to Eddie Thorpe. Fatal Influence makes their debut makes their entrance for a 6-women's tag team match, and then the team of Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, and Tatum Paxley, the trio, I think that's their name now, they come out, and I have to say the NXT women were being heavily showcased. I think WWE seems to believe that NXT is the best women's division in the world. They may be right, maybe you disagree, but I think definitely compared to the main roster, Raw and SmackDown, of the 3, NXT Women's Division is by far the best. So when we come back to commercial, we see Triple H and Nick Khan in attendance together. And then we had the trio, and they basically beat, I almost call them Toxic Attraction, Fatal Influence. They beat them decisively. Shotzi just pins Fallon Henley with a moonsault, and it makes you think, well, Shotzi eventually has to get a title win. And I'll get to what happened later, but it kind of makes sense. So Fallon, I just thought, well, she has no chance against Stephanie Vecchio if that happens. And Fatal Influence ain't no Toxic Attraction. I'm sorry. JC Jane's okay, but her role is it's just not what it was with Toxic Attraction with Mandy as the leader, and he had Gigi and JC. Did I say Gigi? JC, the 3 of them. They were just great together. I love that team. Really entertaining. Sad Mandy had to ruin it, but yeah, Fatal Influence ain't working for me. Don't really see much in Jasmine Neck. She's just really young. And Fallon Henley, I still think she really fits into the group. So you have backstage Ava yelling at Ethan Page right at Javon Evans, and who interrupts but The Rock? And he yells at Ethan. And he tells him he has to be cool with Eva. Ethan looks like a fool. Rock just makes him makes him look like a complete and utter jabroni. He talks about what he's going to say out there with Ava, and it was just Rock rambling. We had Lexis King coming out, and he eventually challenged Charlie Dempsey for the NXT Heritage Cup trophy. We go to commercial first, and then when we come back, it's a decent match, but Lexis King wins, so it's a second big change. He is now the Heritage Cup Trophy winner, and he will hold on to the cup. So they go backstage, and it's Ava, and she's going back and forth with both Shotzi and Stephanie McMahon, and Shotzi, and Fallon Henley was there as well, but Shotzi wants a title shot, even though that Stephanie McMahon won the match. Shotzi pinned Fallon Henley, so she wants a match, and eventually it's up next week. We're going to have Stephanie McMahon against Shotzi. Winner faces Fallon Henley. I assume that's Vengeance Day, but maybe it's the following week. I don't know. Eventually, Stephanie McMahon has to win this title. She shouldn't be losing to Shotzi next week. And but, Fallon Henley did lose to Shotzi tonight, so that has to be paid off. I doubt Shotzi's going to be the champion, so Fallon probably needs her win back before she eventually loses to Stephanie McMahon. And I don't want to see Stephanie McMahon and Julia. I want to see that built up for a while, because I think that could be a major match whenever they eventually get to doing it. So we go to the main event, which is Trick Williams against Oba Femi against Eddie Thorpe. It starts as a singles match with Trick against Oba because Eddie Thorpe is injured. Eventually he comes up and he breaks up a count for Trick. Trick hits his finisher on Femi, but Femi kicks out. And then eventually as things break down, Femi is down, and Eddie Thorpe brings the trans to the ring, and he hits Trick in the body. And then Thorpe gets knocked down out of the ring. Femi hits his powerbomb finisher onto Trick Williams, and he pins him. Out of nowhere, I did not expect this. I was stunned. Oba Femi is your new NXT champion. I was not expecting this. I was very surprised. I did not really agree with it. I thought Trick probably should have gone to TakeOver in Las Vegas. So not TakeOver, the NXT Stand and Deliver show in Las Vegas. Didn't happen. We'll see Trick Williams on the main roster soon. Oba Femi's your champ. I don't think he should be a long-term champ. I don't think he has any personality. I did not agree with this. I thought Trick should just held on to the belt. He's way more interesting than Oba Femi. But we have a new champ, so I think you'll see Trick Williams and Roxanne Perez on the main roster sooner than later. You had Oba Femi and Julia now on the stage together celebrating as the new champions. Lexis King was in there because his trophy means shit. But Oba Femi, new NXT champion, Julia, a new NXT Women's champion. They celebrate together as pyro, basically, not pyro, but steam, whatever goes off, confetti falls from the ceiling. And we celebrate our new champions on NXT. Now, here's how the show ended. We have The Rock coming on NXT. He comes out, it's a big pop, and he just struts around the ring, takes forever to talk like he always does. And it's like the whole thing is, Rock has to finish within the time limit because it's CW and he's yelling back and forth. And the whole thing is censored. On Netflix it was censored. I'm sure the CW heard nothing. And it's just Rock every second he fucking swears. Like, what's wrong with this guy? How could you just not learn to swear every 2 seconds? It takes you out of it because they mute it right away. And he mentions how him and Cody are now basically friends, and he's bitching that the fans complained that he had a tequila shot with Cody last night because he only tried to kill Cody last year outside in the rain. Yeah, now they're friends. Why wouldn't you be angry, Rock? I mean, that really doesn't make much sense, Dwayne. Sorry. But he says, I'm thinking to myself, he calls him Cody Crybaby. That's what people want. We want the match. We want Rock and Cody this year. We're not getting it. And the way it ended, I thought it made Cody look kind of stupid, to be honest. I did not like it. Anyway, Rock just keeps rambling on and on after that, and then he gives this mini motivational speech about NXT, how it's the future. Nothing that you haven't seen Triple H or Shawn Michaels give a speech like this 100 times before. But Rock's having it how it's the future, how you have to, however you react to them. Some of them might go to WrestleMania, others might not be with the company in 3 years. And he says he interacted with people backstage. Then he goes to interact everyone in the crowd. Anyone who made a comment, anyone who interacted, Rock feels the need to immediately respond, and just went on and on. It's just him rambling. And it was just awkward. It went on forever. And did I mention it? He swore a lot. That happened too. Anyways, I don't think Rock's wrestling WrestleMania this year. I am convinced he's not. There was zero tease, no tease for Rock and Roman, and no tease for Rock and Cody. It just looks like he has movies, his movie premieres, he's busy. He has the UFL still, which he's part owner of. He's just a busy guy, and it's unfortunate because last year I think that was their chance to do Rock and Roman as a match they wanted to do. It just didn't work out because probably the best time to do it was 39, but he couldn't do it this time. The one year he was available was 40, but that didn't work, and he's not going to be available this year. You're going to see him at WrestleMania. I think I'd say 100% chance to see him at WrestleMania. Why? He's on the board. He's so affiliated with the company. He has to be there, and I think he'll make an appearance at least one of the nights. I don't think he's wrestling. He could get physical. He could do a rock bottom and a people's elbow. Maybe you get that. Well, I don't think you're seeing The Rock at WrestleMania this year. He's not wrestling a match. And, yeah, that was it. I doubt we see him again for a while. Maybe not till Mania, but that was it. It's NXT, their New Year's Evil. That's how the show ended, and overall, a very noteworthy show. We had some good parts. I thought the first hour was great. Second hour, not as much. It was kind of reminiscent of Raw and away from last night. But overall, yeah, it was definitely an entertaining show. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And we'll see where we go from here.